Last week, I spoke about Yom HaZikaron, about the day of commemorating all the losses of the Holocaust and the heroism of the Holocaust. And I said stories about heroes, not heroes of physical prowess and power, but internal, people who had internal gevura, internal strength and self-control during the Holocaust. And someone called me and said they really enjoyed it. They said, thank God we're not in the middle of a Holocaust. We don't have to show that level of heroism in their unique, extreme ways. What does this look like in our lives? So I wanted to share a few stories of Jewish heroism in our day-to-day lives. But before that, I think the point we have to focus on is why is it important to be a hero? Why be a Jewish hero? Why have gevura? Why have self-control, inner control? You know, life is one long series of battles. The Mesilas Yesharim, The Path of the Just, written by the great Italian Kabbalist and philosopher Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, writes of the constant challenges we find in life. The challenge of integrity, the challenge of looking good versus being genuine, the challenge of being a kind person, the challenge of having a charitable view of other people, of giving of myself. And we have these challenges day to day in life. Why make the right decision? Why be in self-control? So one of the most important principles in Judaism is the concept of Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name. The word Kiddush comes from the word Kedusha. Kedusha means holiness or separate. I'm not like everybody else because I have a higher purpose. The rest of the world might enjoy denigrating people and making fun of them and humiliating people in public, might enjoy poking fun at certain people or speaking negatively. But we have a higher purpose, and that within our higher purpose, denigrating others, speaking negatively, humiliating people, speaking negatively, none of this fits in. I have a higher purpose. That's Kiddush Hashem. People see that a Jew acts differently. We act differently, we react differently, we relate to others differently. The opposite of Kiddush Hashem is Chilul Hashem, which we translate as desecrating God's name. But more exactly, it's explained. Chilul comes from the word chlal, which means a empty space. To create a place where there is no godliness is a terrible thing. We should be receptacles of godliness. We should be ones who express godliness and bring godliness into the world through the way we act, the way that we relate to others, the way we relate to ourselves, what we do in public, what we do behind closed doors. And if I act in a way that's not in line with that, I've created what should have been a place of godliness is now empty and void, and that's terrible. So we always have to start with the why. We know that it's a big concept out there. Start with why. It's a popular book, a very important book that's been written for the business world, but way beyond the business world, where Simon Sinek has the theory that those who succeed in life are not necessarily more talented, but they have a more compelling why. They feel connected to the why. Why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing? I spoke to a student of mine recently who just can't get it together. He wants to grow spiritually. He's really committed. He just can't do it. So he told me, he said, I'm rudderless. I have no direction. I said, no, I don't think that's the case. I said, I think you just haven't found the why of growing spiritually and growing your character to be compelling. If you're able to find it compelling, you would grow and you would have direction and you would have consistency. The why in the life of a Jew is to create a role model for the humanity of how to be a godly person. That's the why. That's what I'm here for. That's what I create a world of godliness. You know, there's a story of a rabbi who was an elementary school teacher, I believe in Connecticut. A few years ago, he needed a desk. Being a rabbi of limited funds, he went on Craigslist to look for a used desk. He found one, it looked good. He went to the house of the woman who was selling it, he paid her for it, took the desk home. As he's setting the desk up, he notices one drawer is not closing properly. So he pushes it, and like all men who are know-it-alls when it comes to fixing, if it doesn't close, you push, and then you push harder and harder and use more force, and eventually you realize force is not going to work. Being an educator, I guess he realized that force is not the way to go. And he pulls the drawer out to see if there's something behind there, and he sees a bag. And he opens the bag, and lo and behold, there's $97,000 of cash in this bag. Imagine how many $100 bills he has in this bag. He calls the woman and he says, "Is it possible that something was left in the desk?" And he was vague enough so that the woman wouldn't know exactly what he meant. The woman thinks for a minute. She says, "Oh my God, the money, the cash, the $97,000." He says, "Yeah, what was it doing there?" She said, "I got it as an inheritance, and I was so distraught that this person had passed away that I just took the money, threw it in the back of the desk, and said, I'll deal with it when I get over it. And I forgot, and I sold you that desk." He said, "Well, I'm bringing the money back to you." She said, "Well, let me give you a gift. Let me give you a nice gift." He said, "No, that's okay. I just want to do the right thing. This is yours. You deserve it." That is Kiddush Hashem. That's sanctification of God's name. There's a beautiful movie that came out a number of years ago called Ushpizin, an Israeli movie with English subtitles. It's a story of a Hasidic man who grew up as a secular Jew, became a Hasid of a Hasidic group known as Breslov as an adult. And he had a couple of friends who were part of the wild and fast gang that he was part of before he became religious. They wound up in prison. He wound up in Meir Sharim in Jerusalem. And the movie begins with these two men saying that they were on a furlough from prison, not during Corona, but they were just on a furlough. And they said, "We're not going back." And they run away from prison. And they wind up reconnecting, finding him and reconnecting with him. And they go to visit him for the holiday of Sukkot. And this man had no money, but somebody gave him some money before the holidays. They had money for his food and celebration of Sukkot. And he takes the money and he buys a beautiful etrog, one of the 4 species, a beautiful etrog. He spends a ton of money on it. His friends come to visit and they say, "Hey, let's surprise him. Let's make him a dinner. Let's make him and they make a salad. They say, "We need some lemon for the salad." They see the etrog, not knowing what the etrog is. They figure it's an elaborate lemon. They cut it open, they squeeze it, and they use that for lemon juice. While he's eating his salad, he says, "This salad's amazing. Where'd you get the lemon? We have no lemons in our house." And then he realizes it was the etrog that he spent so much money on. And you see him getting up, ready to explode. The smoke almost coming out of his ears. And he controls his anger. That's a Jewish hero. That's a Jewish hero. You can get angry, you can explode, and you decide not to. You decide to take the high road. That's a Jewish hero. You know, I don't have $97,000 of cash sitting behind the drawer of a desk that I bought that I have to challenge whether I should return or not. But I'll tell you a beautiful story. A story that I heard from Rabbi Pesach Krohn, a motivational speaker in New York. Rabbi Krohn says the story. This story clearly happened a couple of decades ago. A Hasidic man receives a call from his wife saying that she needs to go to the hospital. She's in labor. It was her 9th month, and he was at work, and she says, "Well, the contraction started. Please come drive me to the hospital." He drives home, wants to drive her from Brooklyn to Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan. To get to Manhattan, you have to go through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, now known as the U Carey Tunnel. And there's a toll to pay. Back then, there was no Easy Pass or toll tag. So you have to wait online and you have to pay the person by the toll booth, the toll operator. Now, if he takes a 20 out of his pocket, by the time he gets the change and all, that's another minute or two he's missing while his wife's getting contractions and in danger of giving birth any moment. So as he gets to the toll operator's window, he says, "My wife's in labor, I gotta run." And he just zips through, gets her to Mount Sinai Hospital just in the nick of time. She gives birth to a beautiful baby. He spends a few hours with her, and then he drives home that night. He says, "Wait a second, let me drive through the tunnel and let me pay for the toll I didn't pay for earlier this morning." As he drives through the tunnel, he pulls up to the toll operator and says, "I was here earlier, I couldn't." Before he can even finish saying why he couldn't, the toll operator stops him and says, "Yeah, what'd you have, boy or girl?" He said, "How'd you know?" She said, "The toll operators, we talk to each other." And someone mentioned the Hasidic man was driving through, his wife was on the way to the hospital, so he zipped through, he didn't pay for his toll. "We knew you're a Jewish guy, you're going to come back and pay. We knew it." That's beautiful. That is Kiddush Hashem. That's a sanctification of God's name. That's heroism today. We have the opportunity of being heroes every moment in our lives. Right now, God gave us an incredible opportunity. We are home. with our families, or we're home by ourselves. Either way, we have the opportunity of being a hero, because being a hero is something that we deal with inside of ourselves. We tend to think that it's an outside-in world. Things happen and I react based on what happens out there. That's not the case. It's an inside-out world. Things go on inside of me and I see outside and I react to and as a result, I express it in my relationship with others. But it's not. Things don't start from what goes on out there. It starts from what's going on inside of me. Everything starts from inside. The more I work on my inside to be a person of joy, a person of compassion, a person of sensitivity, the more it'll radiate outward. If you're stuck home with your family, and many of you are stuck with your families, and it's not easy being home with your family, or with your spouse, and if you're by yourself, it's even more difficult. You have the opportunity to grow. You have the opportunity to think about other people. Be kind to your spouse or your children. Instead of saying, oh my God, is that what you do all day? Really, can't you get anything right? Can't you deal with this situation? Or instead of falling into self-pity or annoyance that people didn't call you or check in, think of somebody else. Be kind to somebody else. Work on your inner world. Find what's right in your life. There was a great rabbi who passed away 20 years ago, Rabbi Victor Miller. He wrote a book. The book was written based on his lectures, and his lectures are really the way he lived. He was the happiest man in the world. He didn't have an easy life, just like most people don't have easy lives. But the way he stayed happy was he looked at the brilliance of the human body, the complexity of the brain, the heart, the different organs, the limbs in the body, how much has to come together for you to walk, and how it all works. And even if it doesn't all work, 90% of it works, 80% of it works. There's so much good, there's so much to be grateful for. It's a time to work on our relationship with God, on a relationship with ourselves, being at peace with ourselves, on a relationship with others. This is true courage. True courage is identifying where I can grow, what I can work on, and getting on the court of life, getting in the game and working on myself. That is courage. And the more I can do that, and the more I can bring it out in my life, whether it's how I relate to somebody else, whether it's letting the other person get ahead of me on the toll, even though I could get angry at them, whether it's negotiating a business deal and not negotiating to the point where the person feels violated, whether it's letting someone come to you, maybe the person who's not able to work at your house right now, maybe you're cleaning help that can't come and paying them in any case, if you're able to do so. Not giving the school a hard time over tuition because maybe you don't feel you're getting your full value right now, but understanding that they're doing what they can and they need the money to stay open. All these little things, that's courage. That's heroism in the life of a Jew. So take it on and let's make this time in our lives, which hopefully will be a brief blip, but let's make it a meaningful blip. Meaningful time of growth and transformation. And that should be our legacy through these times. Thank you.